Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're doing a Phantom Knight deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because we just got an awesome new boss monster in the form of number F0 Utopic Draco Future. This card is an awesome boss monster for the Phantom Knight deck, and it just made the deck so much stronger than it was. And this deck has a high potential for being a tier 1 to tier 1.5 deck. I am really excited to show you guys this deck because it is absolutely crazy. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name through a single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the Phantom Knight of Torn Scales. So Torn Scales is a awesome card in this particular deck. It has the ability that basically, if this card is on your side, or you can discard a card to be able to send a Phantom Knight's card from your deck to the graveyard. And it has to be on your side of the field to activate that effect. And if another Phantom Knight card is in the graveyard, is banished while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a little bit of a good effect because it's an extender and it's basically a Foolish Burial as well, and it can get cards out of your hand that you want in the graveyard. So this card is an all-around 3 of in this deck. We then play 3 copies of the Phantom Knight of Silent Boots. So Silent Boots is a really good card because if you control a Phantom Knight monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And you can only special summon this card once per turn this way. You can banish this card from the graveyard to add a Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect just to be able to grab any Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. We then play 2 copies of the Phantom Knight of Ancient Cloak. Now I did drop this card down to 2 from the previous list. It's a really good card, but it only searches the Phantom Knight spell, or it only searches the Phantom Knight cards from your deck to your hand. So it has to have the at the beginning of it, which turns off a lot of the search in this deck. So you have to keep that in mind about this card, that it has to say the Phantom Knight, not just Phantom Knight. It's also a really good card while it's on your side of the field, because if this card is on your side of the field in attack position, you can target a dark monster on the field, change this card to defense position, and if you do that, monster gains 800 attack. We then play a single copy of Ragged Gloves. Ragged Gloves is a really good card because a dark monster that uses this card as a material gains 1,000 attack, and you can manage from the graveyard to send a Phantom Knight card from your deck to the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Stained Greaves as well. I play 1 Stained Greaves in this deck because it helps me go into some rank 4 plays. It has the ability that if the Phantom Knight monster is special summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can increase the level of this card by 1. You can also manage this card from the graveyard to special summon the Phantom Knight monster from your hand, except another copy of itself, and increase its level by 1 as well, which is really good to help you out making a couple of rank 4s that you can actually make in this particular deck. Now we're going to be playing an honorary Phantom Knight card. It might as well be a Phantom Knight card, and it's actually Kagemusha Knight. Kagemusha Knight is a fantastic card in this deck. It might as well be a Phantom Knight because when you normal summon a level 3 monster, you just immediately special summon this card from your hand. It cannot be used as synchro material, but that's fine. We're not going to be synchro summoning in this deck at all. But it might as well be a Phantom Knight card because it's a dark level 3 warrior monster and it looks ghostly in appearance. We then play 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. Tour Guide is a fantastic card in this deck as well. It's a super helpful card that when it's normal summoned, you can special summon a level 3 fiend from your hand or deck, but it can't be used as synchro material, which is a fantastic effect just to get you an extender plays to be able to go into some really good rank 3s. We then play a single copy of Seer Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. I've bumped my BA's monsters from 2 to 1 now, and what this card does is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a BA monster in your graveyard and special summon it back to your field, which can be your copy of Cherubini, it can be a copy of your Graph, it can be a lot of different targets, which is super helpful in this deck. We play a single copy of Graph as well. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Burning Abyss monster from your deck, which is pretty good because usually you want to normal summon Tour Guide and then special summon out your copy of Graph, link them away for Cherubini, special summon out the Cherubini from your extra deck, and then immediately send from deck to graveyard the copy of Seer, or send Seer to graveyard, which will get you another play. This deck is really good at doing a lot of recovery plays to go into some really cool plays in this deck. We then play a single copy of Danger Tatsunoko, which is Danger Noodle. Basically, the danger cards have the ability that you reveal them in your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses one card from your entire hand. You discard the chosen card, and then if this card was not discarded, then you get to special summon it to your side of the field, and if you draw a card. But if they're discarded, then they gain different effects. This card, it just special summons itself. So you're always going to get this card onto your side of the field, which is pretty awesome. We're then going to play the same copy of Danger Jackalope. Danger Jackalope is also very helpful in this deck because if this card is discarded to the graveyard, then you get to special summon one danger monster from your deck, which is your Danger Tatsunoko, which helps out the deck a lot to be able to go into some additional plays because you're always guaranteed to get a level 3 off of this card. We then play the same copy of Infernape Conjunctor. Conjunctor is really good in this deck because if you have no cards in your hand and monsters your opponent controls lose 800 attack, and while you have no cards in your hand and this card's in the graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. That's totally fine because you play the Sea Dragon Levinair, so this card is really easy to just kind of loop over and over again to get it back on the field to be able to special summon it and get you some really awesome plays in this deck so you play it as a 1-up in this particular build. We're then going to be playing a single copy of Psychic Wielder. If you control a level 3 monster other than a Psychic Wielder, you can special summon it from your hand in defense position, so it helps you as an extender play to get you an additional monster on the field. And one copy of Psychic Tracker as well. This card is also very helpful to get you another extender on the field for another play. If you control level 3, you can just immediately special summon to your field, which is super helpful. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the hand traps that we're playing in this particular deck. So for the hand traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom, which is also a level 3 monster as well. I will mention you guys, which comes up every so often. We play 2 copies of Effect Veilers. You don't want to play Infinite Impermanence in this deck. I don't like to play Infinite Impermanence in this deck because of my Shade Brigandine, because Shade Brigandine has the ability to, if you have no traps in the graveyard, you can activate it. So I just play the 2 Effect Veiler in its place, which is super helpful just to be able to stop your opponent from certain plays and negating monster effects. And then I play a single copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Now you might be looking at this card and going, wait, why are you playing 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit? Well, there's a card called E-Telly, or Emergency Teleport. Emergency Teleport is a super helpful card that we're going to get into in just a second, but basically lets you special summon this card from the deck, and this card is very unique compared to all of the other Ghost Girl hand traps, because during either player's turn when a monster effect is activated, or when a spell or trap is activated while face on the field, then you can send this card from your hand or your field to the graveyard to be able to destroy that card. So you can basically special summon this to your field and use it as a hand trap on the field, which is pretty good. So that's it for the hand traps, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, since we search a lot in this deck, we play a single copy of Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave just basically stops our opponent from going into all sorts of shenanigans against us and stopping hand traps. We play a single copy of Rhoda because all of our Phantom Knights are warrior monsters, so this card is very helpful to grab Torn Scales from the deck, which is the main card that you're going to be grabbing with this card. One copy of Monster Reborn, just a really good extender in the deck to go into more plays. Can help you go into your topic Draco Future by reviving a Z monster that you might link away. One copy of Foolish Burial because this deck basically lives in the graveyard, so this card is very helpful as an extender. One copy of Emergency Teleport because you basically use this card to special summon out your copy of your Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit to give you an additional pop on your side of the field, which is pretty good. And then a single copy of the Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Launch, or Rank Up Magic Force, excuse me. This card is really good because it has the ability that during the main phase you can banish a dark monster or more, 1 or more dark monsters from your graveyard, and then target a Dark XZ monster and special summon from your extra deck 1 the Phantom Knights, Raid Raptor, or XZ Dragon monster whose rank is equal to the amount of monsters that you banished, the higher. So basically, if I were to banish 1, I could go from 4 to 5. If I banish 5, I could go from 4 to 9, which is pretty good just to go into all sorts of really good plays to rank up in this deck with this particular card. Usually you're just going to go up by 1 rank from 1 to, you're going to go from 4 to 5 with this particular card, but it's super helpful to go into some really powerful cards. So that's it for the spells, guys. Not very many spells. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Shade Brigandine. This card is the main way that you're actually going to be going into your rank 4s in this deck, which is super helpful because you just special summon it as a level 4 Dark dark monster on your side of the field. And if you have no traps in your graveyard, then you can activate this card the same turn it was set, which is very, very helpful. I play the same copy of the Phantom Knight's Sword. I actually started playing Phantom Knight's Sword in my build over Wing because it makes my monster gain 800 attack, and also if the target monster be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can destroy this card instead, which is a really good effect. And when this card leaves the field, you can target a Phantom Knight monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field by banishing this card from the graveyard, which is pretty good as well, just to be able to banish it, to be able to special summon a Phantom Knight back like a Monster Reborn almost. And then we play 3 copies of Fogblade. Fogblade is the best card in the entire deck, in my opinion. And this card is super, super, super helpful. You basically activate this card, and it's kind of like Fiendish Chain, if you guys ever remember that card, that activate this card by targeting one effect monster on the field. It cannot attack, and its effects are negated, but the only downside of this card is you can't attack that monster either. Also, you can banish this card from the graveyard, and then basically when you banish this card from the graveyard, you can target a Phantom Knight monster in your grave and special summon it back. So you're basically playing an additional 4 Monster Reborns, which is really nice. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing the new boss monster, which is F-Zero. F-Zero is super helpful in this deck. Basically, this card is the new boss monster for this build, because what this card does is you can exile summon this card on top of a F-Zero Utopic Future. So Draco is super, super easy to summon. So what this card also does is, it's just ridiculous. It can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and then once per turn, when an opponent's monster activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can detach a material from this card, negate the activation if that monster is on the field. You take control of that monster permanently, which is just awesome to be able to take an opponent's monster away from them. We then play the same copy of Utopic Future, which is the way that you're going to be stepping into your copy of Utopic Draco Future all the time. Play the same copy of Dark Rebellion. Dark Rebellion is very easy to play in this deck, and basically you summon this card to go into your other dragons that you play, like your copy of Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. This card gives you a lot of negates. This card is awesome because it has the ability, if this card has Dark Rebellion on it as a material, it gains 2 effects, which is pretty good. If it doesn't, it basically has no effects. But what this card does is once per turn, you can detach a material from this card to target a monster your opponent controls, change that target to 0, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to the attack that it lost, which is really awesome. And also, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach a material from this card, negate the activation, you do destroy that card, and if you do that, you can special summon an XZ monster from the graveyard, which is really good because this card can come out with quite a few materials on it to be able to go into some really crazy plays to give you negations. We then play a same copy of Arc Rebellion. Arc Rebellion is an alternative like OTK piece in this deck that I really love to go into. That this card, and there's a lot of openings that you'll find in this deck to go into this card to help you OTK. It cold waves the field, so basically it can't be destroyed by battle, or it can't be destroyed by card effects, and then you can detach a material from this card, and it gains attack equal to the total attack of all monsters on the field. And then this card has a dark material as on it, then as a material, you negate the effects of all other face-up cards on the field as well, which is where the Cold Wave effect comes in, and after this card resolves, you can't declare attacks with anything but this card, but usually it's not going to matter at that point, because you're just going to OTK your opponent with this one card. I play the same copy of Raider's Knight. Raider's Knight's really easy to go into in this deck. You see a lot of level 3s in this deck, but you also see Stain Greaves and Shade. So this card's really easy to actually make, and you basically just detach a material and then go into Arc Rebellion. So basically you use these two to go into, you use Raider's Knight to go into Arc, and you use Rebellion to go into Requiem. That's the big way that you go into this deck, because they kind of require each other, where the Dark Rebellion is required to actually summon the Requiem, because the Requiem won't have any effects. And then the Raider's Knight is easier to actually summon out Rebellion with Raider's Knight. So then we're going to be playing 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Breaksword. Breaksword is an awesome card in this deck. It's kind of like Scrap Dragon, and this card's actually the way that you're going to be summoning out Raider's Knight really easily. Because once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, target a card your opponent controls, and one card that you control, destroy them, and if this XZ summon card is destroyed by a card effect, or if it's destroyed at all, you can special summon 2 Phantom Knight monsters with the same level from your graveyard, and then increase your level by 1. So it's really easy to go into your copy of Rebellion or Raider's Knight off of this card to go into those really good cards. We then play 2 copies of Levenair the Sea Dragon. You can basically detach a material from this card to revive a banished card, which this card just banishes like crazy. So this card's very easy to go into. And plus I usually use 2 of these to go into my copy of Utopic Future, and then go into Draco Future as well. So basically use both of these and then go here and then here, which is super easy in this deck. One copy of AA Zeus, because it's just a good board wipe in this deck. I didn't want to play Dragoons in this build. I wanted to do something a little bit different, so I played Zeus instead of playing Dragoons in this build. This card is really good to just board wipe. One copy of Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardige. Basically, it's going to get you 2 Fog Blades by sending 1 Phantom Knight from deck. You're going to get to set your first Fog Blade, then you banish the Silent Boots that you sent off for the effect to be able to get your second Fog Blade, which is super helpful. One copy of Appaloosa, because it's really easy to put 4 monsters on the field to give you a lot of negates with this deck. One copy of Unicorn, because it spins stuff. And then a single copy of Cherubini, because it's arguably one of the best starters in the entire deck, because if you can put a tour guide on the field, you can go into this, and then it has the ability that if this card is summoned, then you get to send a level 3 monster from your deck to the graveyard, which can get you into some really good plays with this particular card. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. It's a really crazy deck. Like, I don't doubt that this deck is going to see competitive play. It's really good, and it's really awesome, especially with F-Zero. And you can, if you want to, I didn't, but you can throw Dragoons in here very easily to make it a little bit more crazy. I didn't for my build, because again, I wanted to do something a little bit different and wanted to focus a little bit more on F-Zero, but you can totally throw that card into this deck very easily by just moving out around like 3 cards in the main deck and 2 cards in the extra deck. So it's pretty easy to throw in here too. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.